As introduced, my name is Claire. I'm the Senior Business Strategy Manager at Infarm. We are a vertical farming startup that builds modular greenhouses. We're currently situated in Berlin, but growing quite strongly across Europe. So we're not currently in Asia, but we're going to I'm just going to take you through our current path of expansion, which will hopefully end of this year, early next year, and culminate in our Asian launch. Just to give you a quick overview on why the company was founded. So the path from food to table is quite far. A couple of figures just for you to kind of indulge yourself in. But pretty much, there's so many middlemen that touch the food that come onto your plate. Along the way, food gets wasted, energy is wasted, a lot of resources are misallocated, which actually leads to the fact that our current food system is extremely inefficient. The reason being, a lot of our food has been centralized, as it said here, in Mediterranean climate zones that allow for most of the food to be produced. So it means centralized production that is then distributed to everywhere else. So that's why sometimes here in Germany, you'll get asparagus that's been grown in Thailand. What we are now trying to do is we're trying to distribute the farms rather than having centralized farms and distributing the produce. So our modular farms allow us to grow actually right inside where our customers or our consumers or our partners need to have the food available. Currently, the main focus is on retailers since they are the ones that are one of the strongest channels in terms of food distribution. But we also have a couple of restaurant customers and some other customers like canteens and hotels who also obviously require fresh produce. Just a couple of words on our business model. So we've come up with something that we like to call farming as a service. This is also something that really, in our opinion, differentiates us from some of the other vertical farming startups that you may have seen in the industry. So we call it farming as a service. This means we don't actually sell the farms themselves. We sell the capacity within the farms, and in this way our consumers or our customers are also able to grow with us a lot faster since we're actually the ones that are taking over the entire production for them. So if you're a supermarket customer, for example, you pay a fixed fee per month, you get the farms installed inside of your retail locations, we come, we farm, we harvest, we package, we do everything for you, and at the end of the day you get fresh produce that you can then sell onwards to your end consumer. We also have a couple of other models that we're working on now. So the middle is for wholesalers. Metro is one of our largest customers here in Germany and in France. And we also have a much larger product for distribution centers, and this is also a little bit more for the retailers, that is meant to augment the offering that we have in store. These are just a couple of pictures so you can see the units in action. Edeka is our largest retailer currently here in Germany. We're in about, I'd say around about maybe like 150 locations currently. Migros in Switzerland, and on the right you will actually see, to our knowledge, it's the largest in-store farm in the world. It's a 80 square meter farming, larger farm that we've installed in the metro in Paris, Nanterre. And it actually supplies all of the herbs for the store itself and for some of the neighboring stores that they have within the Paris region. So in that sense, Metro is now completely self-sufficient in their herb production and consumption. So just a couple of words on our expansion so far. We actively started growing the way that we're growing currently in Q1 2018. Before that, we were kind of in our MVP development phase. So we started in Berlin. We're now in Germany, France, Switzerland, Luxembourg just opened this month also, going into London, Amsterdam, and Vienna over the next couple of months, and then hopefully next year and end of this year making our first moves into the American market as well as the Asian market via Japan and South Korea. It's quite an ambitious timeline, but one of the larger things that one has to keep in mind when you're talking about vertical farming is it's extremely hardware heavy. So you're developing an entire new system, which is an amalgamation of technologies that have already existed for some time. One of the biggest arguments against vertical farming or urban farming is that it's quite slow. So, you're having to install modules, you're having to build them, and all of these different things. So scalability is always something that we get compared to, let's say, a classical software company. Ours is a combination of both. Our farms are controlled and powered through software. Everything that we're doing is enabled through the software that we've built ourselves. Every single individual farm is its own node that essentially sends plant data and growth data back to our central farming platform. And around about, if I had to guess, I think like 80% of what goes on in the farm is actually automated. All the sensors tell us what the lights are doing, what the water is doing, how the plants are doing, what the temperature is like. The only real human interaction is the farmers going into the system, harvesting and planting. So our modular way of farming is something that we think is an answer to the scalability question that one gets asked a lot, especially as a startup. Investors want you to grow, grow, grow. So we're hoping that, with our continued trajectory, we can kind of prove them wrong that vertical farming is not a scalable business, both for ourselves, hopefully, and also for other competitors. So the Japanese market will actually be the one that we will enter first, or that is the plan currently. We have some incredible investors already on board, one of whom is actually filming me right now, which is actually, at least in my experience currently, because one of my jobs at Infarm is to help strategize our market entries, has been an incredible help. As the colleague who presented Simple Assurance was saying, you have a lot more local market know-how. You have somebody who's actually there, who knows the market in and out, speaks the language also, and is able to give you all of those different connections and introductions that a new company might need to get their foot in the door. We run a very similar model to Simple Assurance in that we go for big partners first. So Edeka is one of the largest retail chains here in Germany. You get so much more exposure than if you were to try and acquire smaller customers one by one. So trying to do the same thing in different regions where you're not physically present yet is extremely difficult if you don't have very strong partners on board. So this kind of human expansion is also something that we're putting a lot of effort and time into. Also because it means that when it comes to hiring at some point, you also then have somebody there who takes the culture over from Berlin with them because they are, they've been with the company for some time and know what values we'd like to keep with the new team that you're also building up in Japan. So yeah, that's just a very quick run through of Infarm and where we'd like to go. Just in general, I'd like to say if you're present in the Japanese market or the South Korean market or the Asian market, we're going to be going into different countries, soon, I hope. We'd love to hear from you. We're hiring, we're looking for partners, we're looking for investors also. So if you're interested in just being a part of Infarm and trying to change the food system, then feel free to pop me an email. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wow. I lived in Finland, and Finland vegetables are so expensive because it's so, you have to go through lots of different logistics to get there, and then you get not really fresh ones. Yeah. I wish you guys were already there when I lived there. So, is there any questions from audience? So one simple question for me is, how does the farmer train? Do you need to hire a farmer, or can you train farmer kind of easily?
So we've actually standardized our entire growing process, so it's very easily trainable. We don't require people to have plant knowledge who work as our growers. As long as you're able to, as long as you're trainable, which essentially could mean anybody, it's a trainable process. So we actually want to open up what we would call this new job of an urban farmer. Farmer is not really a popular job choice with a lot of young people because they have to leave the city, but this would be a great way to work with plants and with food inside the city, and so we're hoping to kind of also make that a new job role that people would aspire to.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Claire.